Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with random reviews from the Overflow room. Oh, the room is overflowing. Yeah, fortunately, it's overflowing with CDs, not with water, as it was earlier this year, which was a rather frightening phenomenon. Well, we're working backwards through the alphabet. We're in letter H, and here we are with... oh my, yes, Herbert Howells. I got a lot of Herbert Howells because Chandos did a wonderful Howells series. Howells. H-O-W-E-L-L-S, Howells. And, oh, lovely, lovely things. Like, for example, Hyperion, actually. We're going to start with Hyperion. This two-disc set here, music for choir and organ. Really, really lovely stuff, especially the three Rhapsodies for organ. Absolutely gorgeous, beautiful, beautiful works. And his famous sort of funeral anthem, Take Him Earth for Cherishing, which is a major thing. You know, Howells lost his son, and it caused an artistic crisis in his output and sort of changed his whole life forever. He became mostly, or he was already, but he really became a composer of mostly choral works, including a gorgeous Requiem. And it was a terrible tragedy in his life, but he made artistic gold out of it. He really did. His output wasn't huge, but it was serious and very, what's the word? Musicianly, masterly. His music doesn't automatically grab you like, you know, some other composers might, but it's still really, really beautiful stuff and worth repetition. The choral writing is often very, very difficult. He was a virtuoso choral music composer. So we've got his Te Deum, Collegium Regale, a bunch of psalm settings, a Jubilate or two, Master Talus's Testament, Magnificat St. Paul's, a Nunc Dimittis, you know, all the usual Anglican fun and frolic. It's all in here, you know, it really is. So that's nice. Who's doing it, by the way? The choir of St. Paul's Cathedral, Christopher Durnley organ and John Scott conductor. Really a very nice two-disc collection. But now we get to the hot and heavy stuff here on Chandos, the Stabat Mater. Well, we all know the Stabat Mater. This is a big setting, 51 minutes long, and extremely beautiful and full of contrast. It's actually a wonderful work for tenor solo, chorus, and orchestra. Here with Neil Archer, the London Symphony Orchestra and Chorus, under Gennady Rozhdestvensky. Ooh, Rozhdestvensky. Doing Howells. Isn't that interesting? You know, Rozhdestvensky would do all kinds of stuff. Remember, he made a Vaughan Williams symphony cycle. He actually had sort of a feeling for English music. I can imagine, as with most Rozhdestvensky performances, maybe a little zippier here and there and all that, but they're very good. He was a very fine musician. So there's this thing, and that's the premiere recording. Then we've got a couple discs of orchestral music. Volume 1. The King's Herald for full orchestra and organ from the Suite Pageantry, the Paradise Rondel, the Fantasia for cello and orchestra, the Threnody for cello and orchestra. These are all premiere recordings. It's just marvelous stuff. The Pastoral Rhapsody, which is very, very pretty, and Procession with the London Symphony, Moray Welsh cello, and Richard Hickox. That's fun. Then we've got this next one here. The Suite for Orchestra, The Bees. Not the bees you think. It's Overture Bublum, Lament Bartholomew, Scherzo Blissi, the Mazurka, alias Minuet Bunny, and the March Benji. Those are the bees we're dealing with, not the three bees, just lots of bees. The bees. 3 dances for violin and orchestra. And In Greenways, Under the Greenwood Tree, The Goat Paths, Mary Margaret, Wanderer's Night Song, and On the Merry 1st of May. 65 minutes of music you have never heard of. We've got Yvonne Kenny, soprano, Lydia Mordkovich, violin, and the London Symphony again, and Richard Hickox. So these are lovely, absolutely lovely works. Yvonne Kenny is really excellent in the songs in the Greenways. Very, very pretty. So that's interesting. Then we've got, he also did a couple piano concertos and things, but those aren't, I don't think, in this series. These are all the choral works, and oh, they are there. Yeah, good. We'll get to them in a minute. That's exciting. Okay, his Mass in the Dorian mode, Salve Regina, O Salutaris Hostia, Sweetest of Sweets, Come My Soul, Antiphon Nunc Dimittis, which we already talked about, and Regina Caeli, or celli, however you want to pronounce it. Also coupled on this disc is Bernard Stevens' Mass for Double Choir, which is also a lovely work, with the Finzi Singers under Paul Spicer. So that's really, this is some stuff worth discovering at your leisure. There are huge works, intimate works, really. If you like big choral and orchestra sacred pieces, you should really hear these works. They're extraordinary. Howells and Vaughan Williams, English Romantic Choral Music with the Finzi Singers under Paul Spicer with Harry Bickett, organ. We get Vaughan Williams, Prayer to the Father of Heaven. Howells, A Sequence for St. Michael. Vaughan Williams, A Vision of Aeroplanes. Remember that? That's interesting. Howells, At the House of the Mind. Vaughan Williams, Lord, Thou Hast Been Our Refuge, and the Howells Requiem, which is just 20 minutes long and absolutely exquisite. One of the great settings of the piece. It really is. It's absolutely beautiful. Fauré Requiem fans, listen to Howells. Trust me. Then we've got music for strings. Oh, he wrote wonderful string music. There's a Concerto for String Orchestra, half-hour long, serious, complex, wonderful string music. The Elegy for Solo Viola, String Quartet and String Orchestra. The Suite for String Orchestra, which is another wonderful work. It's got, a Siciliano and a minuet and a rondo and all that good stuff. And the Serenade for Strings, which is only 4 minutes long. But the Concerto for String Orchestra is a major masterpiece for the medium. It really is. These are all worth hearing. There's another very, very fine disc with much of the same repertoire on Hyperion. Quite similar repertoire, but that's out there too. Then we've got, the piano concertos with Howard Shelley. Yes, the concerti numbers 1 and 2. Number 1 was completed by John Rutter, actually. Number 2 was completed by the composer. I don't know how much completion it actually needed, but they're fun pieces. They're enjoyable. I reviewed all this stuff at classicstoday.com. You can go and see my Howells reviews. I did a bunch of these. And then there's this wonderful little 4-movement encore called Penguinski. Penguinski is Faux Petrushka. It's a sort of send-up of Stravinsky's Petrushka. It is a blast. Lots of fun, colorful. And Howells is not a composer that you normally think about when you think about, like, musical humor. He was not like a laugh riot, but Penguinski is pretty amusing. It really is clever, fun stuff. Hymnus Paradisi. Yes, Hymnus Paradisi. Absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous work. His choral masterpiece by, all accounts, or at least as many people would think. And it's a requiem. It's a enlargement of his requiem, to put it that way. And it's really, really beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. And also a Kent Yeoman's wooing song. 18 minutes of Kent Yeoman's wooing. And he woos very Kentishly. Delightful disc. This is the BBC Symphony Orchestra and Chorus, Richard Hickox, Joan Rogers soprano, and Anthony Rolfe Johnson, and Alan Opie. All very, very fine singers. A lovely disc. And last but not least, this is his biggest mass setting. This is the Missa Sabrinensis. I love the ensis Latin things, don't you? Salisburgensis, Sabrinensis, Bayonensis, Newarkensis. You get them all. Anyway, a big work, 76-minute long mass setting. We're talking like Missa Solemnis size here, with very intricate choral writing and wonderfully apt text setting. It's really a tremendous piece of music. This is the premiere recording. Thank God it's a good one. Again, it's with Rozhdestvensky, the London Symphony Orchestra and Chorus, with Janice Watson, Martin Hill, Della Jones, and Donald Maxwell, all chirping along as only they can. Yes, definitely worth hearing. So Herbert Howells is a composer who's worth getting to know. Definitely listen to the Requiem or Hymnus Paradisi, because it's sort of the same thing, and the music for string orchestra, the Concerto for Strings. These are really, really amazing works, and I think you're going to find them incredibly rewarding. And if you really like them, you can branch out and listen to his other major pieces as well. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.